Welcome to Egg Schwartz. I'm Kalen. With me is my father, Brandon. And today's question is, what is sweet feed?
Sweet feed.
Mm-hmm.
Feed that's sweet.
Okay, there you go.
There
And that's
you
it.
go. Yeah, no, sweet feed for horses, it's usually, or anything really, it's got something, it's got a sweetener in it.
I say
What is
normally
corn?
molasses, isn't it?
More normally molasses. Molasses is pretty cheap, it's unrefined. Not a lot of money goes into making it
Yeah.
compared to like a corn syrup, say, for
Yeah.
like our human consumption for our bad things that we like candies and sweet stuff. But sweet feed is something that, say, if you're going to give a horse, it's for their palatability. They may like it a little bit better. There is a problem with that, and that is just like giving candy to a kid and expecting them to be well behaved. You can overdo that, give them too much, and they get a little bit hyper wiggy. I've seen a number of horse behaviors um, that were poor behaviors because people were just porking, sweet feed or something really sweet to them a lot, um, and then didn't understand why their animal or their horse was behaving the way they were. They were unruly. They, just being a snot. Um, take that portion of it away. Just give them a good. If they want to give them a little bit of a supplement, and people tend to overfeed. We tend to overfeed our animals,
Yeah.
especially the ones we domesticate and like and can touch and spend some time with, like horses. Giving them way too much as a supplemental feed and too high protein, too much carbos, and then also become unruly for that. But a small, moderate amount of something without the added sugar in it, without that sweet feed, will tend to make that animal a better behaved, more natural behavior um, on them. So that's what it is for horses. For cattle, a little bit different. Why would you give a cow something like that? Well, for feeding purposes, slaughter purposes. Give them a little bit more palatability for something, and it can increase the taste of the meat for us as well. Um, Sometimes it's used. Molasses is a very good one. We call it wet cob. Cob meaning corn, oats, and barley. And you can have dry cob, which means no molasses in it, or you can have wet cob, which means it's been sprayed or has molasses added to it. So uh, getting that a little bit of sweetness towards that meat as an ultimate goal, but it also gets that animal to eat that and taste good so that they have a little higher consumption, a little easier instead of developing a taste for it. You can do the same things with other kinds of feeds. That's not necessarily called sweet, but like peas.
Right.
Peas are sweet, but I don't really consider that a sweet feed. I mean, that's because it's not added. That's part of the plant that they're eating, or
Do
the.
you use sweet feed with the horses or the butcher steers?
I never use sweet feed on with the horses. I just stay
Yeah.
away from it. I just don't do it. Uh, the butcher animals, I can, depends on what they want. I you know have different little concoctions that we have for some of the animals we feed out, and it may or may not involve some sweet feed with it. So it just depends. I like to think this last little bunch that we sent to slaughter for someone else's consumption from us to their plate. I had a feed for I think 65, 66 days, something like that I hand fed. And I think the last 10 days I added to that feed some sweet feed. Uh, just as a little bit of a
Just a bigger
finisher
finish.
topper.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just to get a little bit more into them and I was playing with it. It wasn't necessary. I just wanted to see what it would do
Right.
and how it finished them. So that was kind of a good deal.
You got about 15 seconds. Do you think it turned out well using that sweet feed?
Yeah, I do.
Better than
Yeah,
before?
yeah, I do. I'm always tweaking it, always trying to make it better. And one of the comments was that the day after we made the exchange with the cash for the beef, they took it home, and their 7-year-old daughter took, I guess, a bite of either a ribeye or sirloin. They had made both, and put her fork down and closed her eyes and said, "Oh God, this is the best thing I've ever tasted." So that's unsolicited from a 7-year-old. That's, take it for what it may. They might be just
Yeah.
hoping it was that good. So
Oh,
They may have heard them saying, "I hope this is good tasting."